外皮一姐
from the Pearl TV tower, but the one downside I experienced was that at sunset there was a bit of smog that obstructed the view, so you couldn't see things as much, and in some areas there was a bit of a reflection from the sun. However, it still was a very beautiful sunset to experience.
Yeah, so we're cruising around. I will say these views are able to bring you like much further out. Just thinking about when I was at the TV tower, you had a lot less obstructing views and you can see just that much further out. The nice part about sunset is you'll get, to see the place lit up in this golden tint. But the unfortunate side is that it also lights up some of the pollution in the air, and that gives it not as clear of a feel as we experienced at the TV tower.
One additional point I'll mention is you can pay to go to the very top of the Shanghai Tower, which is a few floors higher than the viewpoint. And here is actually an enclosed area, so you won't be able to see outside, but it's the highest point a tourist can go. And inside here, you'll see that the building features a huge tuned mass damper, which is a large metal pendulum-like structure. The damper plays a crucial role in keeping the skyscraper balanced and stable, particularly during the windy conditions. The tuned mass damper also helps reduce the building's swaying motion, ensuring the structural integrity and occupant comfort. The cool part is, as a tourist, you can go up here and see a light show inside and learn about how the massive tower is able to withstand these strong winds through a presentation they share with you. I would say my experience was, if you have a lot of time on your hands and you have time to experience a lot of Shanghai, definitely head up there and check it out. But if you're on a tight schedule where you only have a couple days, you don't need to make a trip up there, as it wasn't as exciting as some of the other things on this list of things to do. Number 8 on the list includes visiting Disneyland! And if you're from America like I am, you may have been to Disneyland or Disney World in Florida or California, and it is a very special experience. But when you visit the Shanghai version, you're going to get a different version, mainly for the reason being that the Disney characters are speaking Mandarin, which makes it a pretty cool and unique experience.
大家好，我是牛仔女孩翠丝，快进来和我们一起玩吧。
My friends and I explored all over the park. We went on some wild roller coasters.
There they go. Oh, see you later. This is gonna be like the craziest ride. Alright, I must say, as someone who's gone to Six Flags Great America and some other Six Flags around the world, Disneyland has absolutely leveled them up. Oh! Oh my god! Here we go! Holy shit!
And just simply walked around, met some locals, and tasted some delicious food.
It tastes like Thanksgiving. This year I didn't make it back to the US for Thanksgiving, so we're having it a bit late. That is freaking delicious.
And overall, I would say the Disney World experience in Shanghai was a great full day spent because we had a week of time of exploring. If we were limited on time, it wouldn't be as much of a priority because it's obviously not super unique to Shanghai in itself. But that being said, it was a really fun day to get that adrenaline rush, experience multiple different impressive rides around the park. But one I want to mention that stood out to me was the Pirates of the Caribbean experience, where they have a boat that takes you through a blend of virtual reality and realistic scenarios that represent the Pirates of the Caribbean. It was definitely one of the coolest and most well done rides that I have seen in theme parks around the world. So if you guys have a chance when you're at Disney World, definitely stop by and check out the Pirates of the Caribbean. Number 9 on the list is to experience a food tour. I wish I would have done this at the beginning of my trip, but I happened to do this towards the end. And I stumbled upon this food tour through a Get Your Guide booking. And no, this is not a sponsored video, but yes, I've included the link so you'll be able to find the same tour, and I do get a small kickback that supports this channel if you guys want to book it through my link. That being said, even if you don't book it through my link, I still would highly recommend you doing this food tour because it is awesome. The local guide is a really welcoming guy, and he shares you everything you want to know about food and China in itself.
Me and Jim, my new friend here from Shanghai, we love China. Shanghai, let's go.
Also, Shanghai food.
Shanghai food, really good. So we're gonna be going on an amazing tour with him today.
He's one of 3 different guides, so you may or may not get the same guide that I have, but it sounds like all of the guides are really awesome and will show you such a beautiful experience. Anyways, if you're like me, one of the biggest reasons why I was excited to experience China was to see how Chinese food compares to the Chinese food I've had in different countries around the world. And this experience on a food tour takes you straight in. And our guide was amazing because he gave us a view of what China is like beyond the headlines and misconceptions held by people from around the world. The tour took us not just through a culinary adventure, but also through a full-on cultural immersion. And the one thing I appreciated about our guide is he was so helpful in sharing us a real-life inside look of what China is actually like, what it's like to be a local, what it's like in real life versus what we're hearing on the news. So overall, that made it a really special experience, and more importantly, on the food side, he brought us to some really cool places that you would never be able to find on TripAdvisor or any other places, and it brings you right next to the locals where they have their food, and wow, it was delish. Number 10 on the list is to experience a Chinese massage. A massage in China can vary in many different types, but the one my friend Harry and I had was genuinely unlike any other massage I've ever experienced. And what makes it better is that even these massages are reasonably priced for the value of money and how good you feel after getting the massage. Harry and I did full massages there where they first start off with doing a foot massage and kind of working the way up the legs and cleaning them, and then they actually take you upstairs where you'll find bars hung from the ceiling. We laid down and they climbed on our backs. Now the pressure isn't as bad as you might imagine because they are partially hanging from the bars as they're walking across your back. But it was really incredible on how much it pushed down into our muscles and reached parts that other massages that I've experienced weren't able to get. So this is one of the most exotic massages just in the way the procedure was done, but also I felt so good after a long day of walking. So if you're into massages, definitely check this place out. Number 11 on the list is to visit the Jing'an Temple. This is the most famous temple in Shanghai and it really stands out from the city. The cool part about this place is you get a mix of modern buildings surrounding it while you also have this traditional Chinese yet modern architecture, making a really unique blend on the Shanghai skyline. When you visit the temple, you'll be surprised because as soon as you walk in, you'll realize there are a lot of things happening. And what I mean by this is there is a centerpiece in the middle of the temple grounds, and it's a sight to behold as locals and tourists toss coins into the burner, perhaps in hopes of making a wish for good luck.
Oh, and that one's coming down.
It's a really cool experience because you just see so many coins flying up in the air coming from every direction, and so you definitely need to watch out or you might get hit by a couple of Chinese yuan. The Jing'an Temple was first built during the Three Empires period, which was around 220 AD to 280 AD, and has stood tall for more than 780 years. The Jing'an Temple existed even before the city of Shanghai was established, which really gives you an idea of how old this place is. And today, it's best known for being a place of worship in the Chinese metropolis. During its long history, the temple has been destroyed, rebuilt, and renovated many times, and it is most famous now for its bronze bell and Buddha statues. Number 12 on the list is to do a river cruise, and I'll tell you straight away, this is the one thing I did not have time to fit in my schedule, but it's what I really wish I could have done because I love riding on boats and seeing cities from the water. So I'm hoping that if I share this with you, you'll get the opportunity and you can comment below how you enjoyed it. So anyways, there are a ton of different river cruises, and a lot of people gave me recommendations when I was at the hotels and locals as well that I really should experience what Shanghai is like from the water. And you've got a couple different options. You can take a ferry across, which is going to be your cheapest way of doing it, Or you can even do a full-on dinner cruise at night, which will immerse you in this beautiful Shanghai skyline with some delicious food and cocktails. Although I couldn't make it this time, a river cruise is definitely going to be on my list for the next time I'm in Shanghai. Number 13 on the list is to visit the so-called Science Museum, which is actually a Chinese market. So the reason why it's called the Science Museum is because the subway stop is where the Science Museum is, but actually down inside the subway station, you will find a huge Chinese market where they sell tons of product. Here, we're at one of the most famous fake markets in Shanghai, called the Fun Collection. I will say you need to go in there with your bargaining hats on because they sell tons of product. Some are copies of name brand products, some are just random souvenirs or clothing or apparel or bags you can buy that aren't branded. But when I asked to buy a pair of Air Force Ones there, the retail price they were trying to start out with the negotiation was the same price as buying a real pair. So expect to maybe negotiate between 60 to 90% in some cases. Maybe not all cases, just do that conversion on your phone because I'm sure there's some tourists that don't do a conversion and they end up paying so much more money than the item they're buying is worth.
I give this price.
Oh, that's as much as the real ones.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not at this.
No,
How
too
much?
expensive, too expensive.
And don't worry if you're not looking to go buy copies and fake items, you can absolutely go down there and buy souvenirs and many other types of items. It's not just copies of other brands, it has a whole bunch of different options down there. Number 14 on the list is to go a little bit outside of the main Shanghai area, and by a little bit outside, I mean about an hour and a half by taxi or maybe 2 hours by subway. And when you arrive there, you're going to find a place called the Paris of China. The reason this is the Paris of China is there is a massive Eiffel Tower sitting in the middle of the city. The plan here was to build a mini Paris, and it actually does feel like that. There is a long strip that leads up to the Eiffel Tower, and you have this French-style architecture, this European feel, yet you have the Chinese locals who fill the streets there. It seems the project did not go as planned, as it's quite a quiet area for how big of a project this was to build, but nonetheless, we really enjoyed exploring, meeting some of the locals, and trying tons of delicious street food and meeting with some of the locals to finish off the night by doing some dancing right in front of the Eiffel Tower. And last but not least, number 15 on the list is to experience a Chinese hot pot dinner. This is an absolute must, and make sure you grab a couple friends and sit down and have a big stomach because it is time to eat.
Boys, good. Chow time, chow time, chow time, chow time, chow time.
So what is a Chinese hot pot? It is basically a pot that sits right in between you and the people across from you in the center of your table, and it brings cooking mixed with a restaurant atmosphere. So you get that restaurant quality food, but you're actually doing the last step of preparation, which is taking some of this incredible meat, tossing it in, cooking it to your desired perfection, and having a feast.
Now, whatever's in here is super spicy, but I'll tell you, it is freaking delicious. Just a nice oily taste. Burns your lips, burns the inside of your mouth, on your throat on the way down. You're probably wondering, how does that taste? Oh, let me tell you, that just makes the flavors pop.
Overall, the food you'll have is absolutely delicious. It was one of my favorite meals that I had, and so if I go back to Shanghai, it's probably going to be one of the first places I go if I'm with some friends. And that concludes our list of 15 of the best things that you can do when you're visiting Shanghai. But this massive city has even more to offer, so I've included some additional links down in the description below that'll give you some more ideas on things you can do when visiting Shanghai.